Welcome back to the Wind Down with Toya T, where we do a recap and review of Insecure's Season 4. This week we're talking about Episode 5, Lowkey, Moving On. And before we start, we gotta take a sip. Oof. I need to get some better wine. This is some Pick Moscato from Sutter Home. It doesn't compare to the wine that my dad brought yesterday for Mother's Day. It was delicioso. French wine. Alright, so the episode starts off. We see Issa. She is in the bed. She can't seem to sleep. It is January 25th, 3:42 a.m. She goes to her kitchen to make herself a cheese quesadilla in the microwave. And I was like, ooh, girl, you couldn't use the stove? It's probably better that way, but we know Issa ain't got no sense most of the time. So she's warming up this quesadilla. She's scrolling through Instagram like I be doing. So she like, And she comes across Nathan's page and sees that he's up. So she direct messages him and says, you know, why are you up? He's like, I can't sleep. She said, me neither. And then he says, want to talk? And I was like, uh-oh. I thought when the bubbles came up, when it's 3 a.m., and this is somebody that you've been involved with, we all know what those conversations are like, right? So I thought he was going to be like, can I come through? Because that was just me having flashbacks. That was just me having flashbacks from my 20s where it was like, if you up that late and you see the bubbles and they say, I can't sleep, it's usually come through. Can I come through, or you want to come through? But that wasn't it. He said, you want to talk? So she calls him. And he picks up and they start talking, and he was asking her about the block party, and she's telling him like she's feeling kind of nervous, and he says he's home alone because Andrew's over at her girl Molly's house, and Issa reveals to him that that's not really her girl. She wouldn't really call Molly her girl, and that is when we hear her say that she doesn't fuck with Molly like that. And so we have finally come full circle to the first episode, first scene where she said that, and then it backtrack to 4 months or 3 months before the block party. So we see how we got to this point, and we find out who she was talking to. She was talking to Nathan, and of all people, I didn't think that she would be saying this to Nathan, especially since they haven't been like hanging out. They're not really that cool anymore. And so it was just surprising to see that she said that to him. But either way, then we go over and it's the day of the block party. So we see Molly. She in the house with her boo Andrew, and she is pretty much dragging her feet getting ready for this block party. She's like, what do you wear to a block party in January? And Andrew was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's LA. It barely ever rains and it's 75 degrees, right? Just wear whatever you would regularly wear. But you can tell she's just trying to come up with an excuse not to go. And I'm like, if Molly don't feel like going, she shouldn't go. And she pretty much says to Andrew, like, she loves Issa, but she doesn't really like her right now, which we all could see that she does not like Issa, and Issa does not like her right now. So then we finally are at the block party. Whole episode's block party. So we see Issa. She's going around. She got her clipboard. She's the boss. She's in charge. She's being, approached by different vendors about issues, and she is easily handling it, handing it off to her interns. One of them is named Sequoia, or they call her Koya, which I thought was cute. I thought it was going to be a shit show, but these interns are on point. This Sequoia has her stuff together. She's like, yes, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. She has the headset to connect with the other interns and everybody else working at the block party. So it's going well. Then we see Condola. Okay, now I ain't got no issues with Condola. Condola didn't do nothing to me. She didn't do nothing to Issa. She didn't do nothing to Lawrence or none of them people. Okay, I don't know why some of y'all out here are giving Condola grief. Like, come on, homegirl is a grown woman. She's a recent divorcee. And she was setting boundaries and speaking the truth to Lawrence. The fact that they broke up or they were together It has nothing to do with him and Issa's relationship, obviously. So she sees her over there. She walks up to her and says, hey, girl, you know, like, what happened? Like, did I do something wrong? Because we all know Condola ghosted. And I thought, you know that I thought that Condola was the reason that Schoolboy Q pulled out as the headliner. I thought she was being petty and was like, well, you know, my man is too busy fawning over his ex, so I'm just going to go and mess up her event. But it seems like she didn't do that. She was there to make sure that the vendors were all there. So that was cool. And Condola then tells her, oh, like, you know, Lawrence and I broke up. I thought you knew. And she's like, no, I didn't know anything. And we all knew that Issa didn't know anything. Lawrence didn't tell her. Like, again, there's nothing going on between them like that. And it's just really weird. And Condola admitted that she didn't even think that she was going to show up, but she did. After that, we don't see Homegirl from there because Issa goes off to talk to Kelly and Tiffany and Derek. Kelly is hilarious. Kelly is doing all kinds of acrobatics. Homegirl is flexible, okay? She must have been a gymnast when she was younger or a gymnast in her other life because she pulled her leg and she had it all the way up. Sitting there taking all kinds of crazy pictures, apparently for 45 minutes because no one is at the block party yet. And Issa, when we first see her at the block party, was kind of worried that no one was coming because all she saw was like a few people and it was mostly white people. Obviously the new white people that live in the neighborhood. And she was afraid that the people that she made the event for weren't going to show up. But her intern had to remind her it was only 17 minutes into the event. So, you know, people are going to show up when they show up. And we all know black people arrive on CP time. I know I wouldn't show up if it starts at 12, I'm not showing up at 12 o'clock. Not even at 12:15. Not even at 1. Okay? Especially if it's an all day thing. You show up when you know you need to show up. So she goes over and talks to them and they take a few pictures. Then Crazy Kelly puts on a fake British accent because apparently she has a new boo that she faked an accent when she met him and now she has to keep it up. So he thinks that she is visiting from England and doesn't know anything about American culture. And turns out Homeboy is just real dumb. I mean, besides for the fact that her British accent is so stereotypical, like, hello, how are you doing, sir? Can I get some tea and some bread and some crackers? So she has like this really bad accent, but then also she knows nothing about England and he has no idea. So it works out, but he's dumb. He's cute and dumb. So during this time, Issa is still like walking around. We see that Nathan shows up. He's there. It's kind of weird, but he came to support her, which was nice. And when we later find out that he was the reason that she got the new headliner, I can see why he showed up. So I'm happy that he did show up. And it also points to like the first scene from this episode where she's talking to him on the phone. It seems like they were talking before. So she had hit him up after Molly said no to asking Andrew to hook her up with a Live Nation artist, she hit up Nathan, who's Andrew's roommate, and he talked to him. So Issa's busy, so she doesn't have time to really stand around and talk to many. Find out that Tiffany must be suffering through postpartum depression because she doesn't seem to be interested in that child at all. And she even jokes when Kelly asks her, because she's double fisting, she has 2 glasses of Frosé. And Kelly asks, oh, I guess you're pumping and dumping. And she's like, nah, I stopped breastfeeding because that thing didn't take. This baby is like maybe a month old. Maybe less. And seems to be very relieved about not being around the baby. So when we see that the sitter calls and Derek gets the call and the baby is crying nonstop, he's like, you know what? We're going to come back home. And he tells Tiffany, the baby won't stop crying. We should go. And Tiffany's like, no, this is the first time I've been out. Like, I don't want to leave. So Derek, being the good daddy that he is, he decides that he's going to go home and relieve the sitter. And Tiffany's going to take a ride back with Kelly. Anyway, we see Molly and Andrew, and they're so impressed by how well the block party's going. Like, it's starting to fill up. We are starting to see some of the acts that are going on and people are vibing and stuff. And Andrew was saying, like, you know, this takes a lot of work to put together. So maybe that's why you and Issa seem to be disconnected. Maybe she just didn't have the time to really like connect with you because she's been busy. Like, remember when you used to put work before me, and now look at us after we finally had time together. And she's like, okay, maybe that is what it is. But as we can see again, Andrew is understanding. Andrew is compassionate. Andrew is way better than what Molly deserves. Again, Molly don't deserve no Andrew. She does not deserve Andrew the way she's been acting. So it took some time, but the black folks finally started showing up in droves. It might have been like maybe an hour or two after. Issa is super happy. Finally, black people are arriving, because before, her intern told her that the news wanted to speak with her. So Issa went over and was talking to this woman who appeared to be a news reporter. And the news reporter pointed out, like, so what do you, why did you put this on? And she's like, I want to do it for us, for the people of this community. And the reporter looks back and she's like, well, it's very diverse, meaning like it was only white people at that time in the neighborhood. And Issa's like, yeah, like our new neighbors, like they're here too. We're, it's a place for us all to get to know our new neighbors and build a new community. And when the interview ends, she asked her, where can I find this? And girl was like, oh, my YouTube channel. She's like, okay, what's your name of your YouTube channel? And homegirl said, I haven't started it yet. But she had a whole film crew. And she said she did that so that people would be convinced. And Issa said, I was convinced. And homegirl was like, good. Walked off. But anyway, so the black people finally started showing up. And at this point, Molly comes over with a plate of food for Issa, because she realized, like, you're probably running around, you haven't eaten yet. So I brought you some food. And it seemed like this was going to be a place where they would talk and break the ice. But it got interrupted because Issa's intern came over, Sequoia came over, and told her that the headliner, Vince Staples, has arrived. So, which I want to point out, I'm old. I had never heard of this young man, but I assumed that he was a real artist because it seemed like all these other people were real artists. So I looked him up. This guy's like 25. He's a rapper and an actor and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. So, they're and he's from Compton. So it's local acts. So it's cool to see them giving shine to these upcoming local acts. That's what I love about Insecure and Issa and the whole show. Like, the soundtracks for each season are so fire. That first season soundtrack, I bought it immediately, and like everything on there is just a banger. It's just a banger of people that I had never even heard of before. Cool stuff. So she walks off because the headliner is there and goes to go meet with him. And a couple weird things happen. So one, Sequoia got a nosebleed. I guess when she gets excited, she gets a nosebleed. She's a big fan of Vince Staples, and she's like trying to talk, and her nose is running out of one nose. I was like, this is creepy. Two, Thug Yoda is there. He's in the VIP backstage section, and he's in full Thug Yoda-ness. And Issa's like, how'd you get back here? People, and he started lying like, yeah, I know Brian and Boyce and Brenda, they're all siblings. And then the other Brian over there. And she's like, did you make that up? And he's like, nah. Ooh, we miss Thug Yoda. I wish Lawrence was also there so he could see Thug Yoda, but it was good to see him. So it's later in the evening, it's around 7:30. And the DJ is playing, the DJ is pumping. Like, they play the wobble, like black people anthem. It was either that or the Cupid Shuffle, or take it way back and play the electric slide. But wobble for the millennials. So they play the wobble. Everybody's getting into it. Molly is there with Andrew, and she's trying to joke like, oh, he doesn't know how to do it. And he's like, do you know how to do it? So we know Andrew got some flavor. He knew how to do the wobble. And then Issa decides to join in after her intern told her, like, let's, go dance. We can take a little break to dance. Like, it's the wobble. So Issa's doing the wobble, and she's right near Molly, and like the sparks are flying, and they seem to be vibing. You're like, oh shoot, like they're gonna like talk after this, and it's all gonna be all good, and we're gonna reconcile and be kumbaya-ing, and that didn't last long. The MC calls Issa up to introduce the headliner, and Issa comes up and thanks everybody for coming, but nobody wanted to hear her go into a speech about, I did this for y'all. She started getting into it. They're like, Vince. So she's like, okay, I get it. Let's bring out the headliner. He comes out, He performs. I actually think I'm going to download one of his songs or see if I can find it on Spotify or Apple, Amazon Prime Music, because it was sounding kind of good. Like, it's a little bit too young for me, but like his song Fun sounded fun. So all right, I make a little bop for me to dance in the house, be part of my Rona party, because I have Rona parties every Friday. I, get some wine or eat an edible and have me a little Rona party in my house and act like I'm at the club. Even though I didn't go to the club before Rona hit. But anyway, he performs, everybody's feeling it. So it's the end of the night, it's like shutting down. And, Molly's talking to Andrew and saying like, this was a really good time. And while she's talking to him, the manager for Ben Staples comes up to Andrew and was like, yo, thanks for hooking us up with this event. It actually turned out to be really good for us, like you said. So the manager goes off and Molly's like, what does he mean by that? And Andrew's like, well, I hooked Issa up with Vince. Nathan told me and I just sent an email and that was that. And Molly goes off. She's like, what? She sees Issa over there. And Andrew's like, I don't see the problem. She's your best friend. Why wouldn't I help her? And I didn't get it either, too. I was like, yeah, she is your best friend. Even though you guys are having issues, you said that you showed up because you're her best friend. So why wouldn't your boyfriend want to help your best friend? And she made it seem like Issa slept with her man or something, or asked Andrew for money. She sees Issa and goes over to her, and it is on like popcorn, kettle corn. Just, it gets loud, ugly, and heated. Okay, they're throwing jabs at each other that I'm just like, yo, I don't know how you can be friends after this. Molly says, how dare you go behind my back and talk to my man after I told you no when you asked me to hook you up. And Issa's like, I don't see what the problem is. Like, you told me not to get you involved, so I didn't involve you. I went the other route and got someone that I'm connected to who's also connected to him to help me out. And Molly's like, I told you that I didn't want you to do that. And Issa's like, I don't get it. Like, why are you so mad? Because you know how hard I've been working to put this on, and you're acting like you don't want me to win because you saw me when I was struggling and we got y'all. You saw what happened when I quit. You saw me struggling to get this together. You saw when I started to actually gain momentum, and then when my headliner dropped out. Like, did you want me to fail? I just asked for a small favor. And Molly's like, you always ask for favors. Like, you are so selfish. I said, damn. And Issa's like, what are you talking about? Molly's like, I was setting up boundaries. And she's like, I can't keep up with all of your new rules and all this stuff. That's your problem. You like to create drama. Why are you bringing this to me here at my event? If you have a problem, you should have talked to me after this or talked to me in another place. Like, you like to create drama. And everyone, all their friends are seeing this. Tiffany tries to intervene. Andrew tries to intervene. And when he does, Issa's like, see, even your man agreed with me that you need to calm this down and not be doing this right now, because this is not the place to be bringing this up. And you always cause this drama. And if you and Andrew break up, it's not going to be my fault. It's going to be on you. You need to stop freaking worrying about what I'm doing and picking out all my flaws when you need to work on yourself. I said, oh, that was like, and they're getting closer and closer. And then Molly was like, you are the same, like, lying ass bitch. I was like, what? Who you pulling out the B-word on your best friend? Like, not even in the friendly way. You pulled off a lying ass bitch. No. That was some fighting words. So they're getting real close. And Molly's like, you need to step back. He's like, you need to step back too. And they're getting like really up in each other's face like this. And people are trying to break them apart, like Tiffany and Kelly and all them are trying to break them apart. But then I think someone thought that what Molly had in her hand, like when they were like putting their hands in each other's faces, the heated argument, someone yells gun. And you know what happens when someone yells gun in a crowd full of black people? Everybody ducks and runs. They don't see it. There's no shots. There's nothing. They don't see no kerfuffle. They just run. Everybody runs off, and the place is pretty much like it's over. The place is pretty much trash because, you know, people are running over tables and all that other stuff. And so that breaks up their heated fight. I told y'all it was going to get ugly. I told you I didn't know it was going to get that ugly close to blows. I don't know how they come back from this because those were some fighting words. Those are words that only close friends could say to each other, and you would only say it when you know you ain't trying to fuck with people no more. Because selfish, lying ass bitch, you need to work on yourself. When you break up with your man, it's gonna be your fault. You always want something. You're a user. That's what Molly called Issa. You're a user. You use me, you use Andrew, you use everybody. I was like, oh my gosh. And luckily there was no physical fight between them, because then it really would have been over, but I don't see how they come back from that. So we see them both trying to process it after Molly is with Andrew and Kelly. Kelly goes off to her car. Andrew's trying to console Molly, who's like really upset. And again, in showing that Molly does not deserve Andrew. Molly was in the wrong. Molly started the fight at the block party. Andrew apologizes to Molly and said, I didn't mean to cause all this chaos. I said, are you serious? This is why Molly don't deserve Andrew. Andrew, why are you apologizing to your girl? Your girl's crazy. Your girl's wrong. I know it's not the right time to tell her she's wrong, but she was wrong. You had no reason to apologize. Again, like you said, you didn't see a problem helping out her best friend. It wasn't like she asked for money. It wasn't like she made a proposition towards him. She asked for help for her block party. And he's in an industry where he could help her. He said all he had to do was send an email. He didn't have to go bribe somebody. He didn't have to go kiss no ass. All he did was send out an email after Nathan told him that Issa was in a pinch and needed help. That was it, but he apologized to her. I said, okay, girl, let me know when y'all gonna break up. Let me know when Andrew has the epiphany and finds out that he is putting up with too much with your crazy ass. Let me know. Let me know when Molly goes back to therapy, because she needs it. She does need it. She needs it. She needs it. She needs to work on her shit. Issa was right. She needs to work on it. Issa is over with Tiffany and Nathan, and Tiffany's like, do you want to like get a ride home with me and Kelly? And Issa's like, nah, I gotta close this out. It is her event. And Nathan offers to stay. She said nah, so it ends off with Issa by herself. She's looking around at the disarray of the block party, which was still a success. So it was after the headliner, so that would have been done anyway. Most people would have been gone. It was just stragglers that were around because the interns had already been leaving. And Issa looks over to a sign that says good vibes only. And we all know there was no good vibes with how that ended with her and Molly. And it cuts to black and it starts raining. And I was just like, damn. This is episode 5. What is 6, 7, and 8 gonna be like? I just don't know, where do they go from here when the block party, I assume, would have been the penultimate episode or the last episode of the season. Like, where does it go from here? And I personally don't think that Molly and Issa are going to be able to repair their relationship by the end of the season. I think that they might stay in this bad funky place, or this space where they're not talking, and then we pick up next season. Maybe it's a year later. I mean, with coronavirus, we don't know when they're going to be able to film this, and so they can realistically jump like a year. And maybe they haven't talked in 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. I think they probably need the space. They need to come back together when they're both in different spaces. I don't know. What do you guys think? Did you like this episode? Where do you think that the season is going, how the season is going to end? Come back next week. Don't forget your wine. Hopefully I'll have a better wine than this Pink Moscato Sutter Home. Sutter Home, don't try to sue me. I'm just telling you, this does not taste that great, but I'm still going to drink all of it, so. That was one gulp. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I will see you guys next week. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel so we can continue this. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Cheers. I'm low-key moving on from this. Yes.